Yes, isn't that where the magic is? Seeing how we align to the organization's mission and vision statement. What part of the mission statement do you value?
Well, some of us accomplish some things and others do other things. I guess we just hope we're all doing the right things.
Let's talk about the kinds of diagnostics already in place at an individual, group, and organizational level. Let's start by identifying the inputs, throughputs, and outputs at a department level. So what are they?
Well, we certainly have our faculty lines to teach classes.
And that includes the adjunct instructors and a few grad assistants as well.
In order to specify data for a comprehensive diagnostic of an organization, the organization development team must take the results of earlier work that identified input, throughputs, and outputs at the organization, group, and individual levels. Of course, the organization's mission and goals should be considered in the process of identifying data for the diagnosis. For example, if the diagnosis is being performed on a school of education within a mid-sized university, then one of the organization's inputs could be the faculty salary line of the budget. This is usually a fixed budget category that fluctuates annually based on raises or merit pay and the number of regular faculty members. When considering budget amounts, the OD team is using dollars as a metric. A metric is some qualitative data used to describe or measure something. For example, during winter, we may say that it's cold outside. The most common metric to create a more objective measure in this case is temperature. In the U.S., temperature is most often measured on the Fahrenheit scale. Graduation rates can be used as a metric simply by counting. However, the identification of metrics to measure program quality or the success of an initiative is more difficult.
The metrics we use to measure each category differ a little bit. For example, it's easy to align dollar amounts to things like faculty, although they are pretty well fixed. This year we had $120,000 for adjunct faculty.
And I think we received about $1.2 million in grants and contracts. Isn't that right, Michelle?
Yes, it was actually $1.4 million. Every dollar counts.
Now, shouldn't that be listed at the individual level?
Let's take a look at the dollar amounts of the grants and contracts. Let's move them into the input of the individual's effort based on the work that they did. Now let's begin by addressing the metrics of other categories.
In this case, the OD team must wrestle with finding a relationship between the amounts of money and the numbers of adjunct or part-time faculty that can be hired with this money. It's important to know how the history of these data inform those performing the diagnosis about a relationship between the amount of money and the contributions this amount has made to the performance of the organization. This will assist the OD team to align inputs with the goals and activities of the organization, and ultimately make recommendations for the future development of the organization. Obviously, data on input, throughput, and output is necessary to determine performance. Establishing metrics for data is also of vital importance. In the case of the budget amount for adjuncts or part-time faculty, too little money may not align with the need for the school to offer all the classes necessary for an increase in enrollment. Too much money may impact the course load of regular faculty. Student progression, retention, and graduation rates might be affected. Setting metrics for data and aligning input with throughput and output can be complex work. However, it is extremely important for an accurate measure of an organization's performance and potential development.
Michelle just IM'd me the graduation rates for our seniors from last semester, and the count is 278.
We probably need data from the last 2 semesters.
Okay, I'll get that during our break.
As I understand it, we need to find the best way to get data on each faculty member's productivity on the articles they've had published in the past year. Is that correct?
Collecting data and determining metrics is a foundational phase of conducting a diagnosis of an organization's performance for the purpose of identifying possible areas for development. Data collection is performed by internal diagnostic team members and the OD consultant. Diagnostic data is typically gathered by using existing data, such as course listings, graduation rates, student enrollment numbers, and budget sheets. Designing and using questionnaires may be useful to collect information such as employment percentages and locations, graduate satisfaction measures, and faculty workload. Additional data can be collected through interviews of individuals or small groups. The OD consultant may also make observations of the organization in action. This may require he or she to sit in on meetings and informally speak with stakeholders from time to time. Often, the consultant will seek to verify his or her observations with the internal team. Success of the organization development effort is anchored on the clarity by which the OD team identifies data relevant to understanding the current inputs, throughputs, and outputs of the organization, and establish metrics that are useful to measure each variable. Once this is completed, the team then sets about collecting data using existing reports, questionnaires, and conducting interviews. In some cases, observations of processes will yield important information.
Yes, numbers 4, 5, and 6 on this draft questionnaire should get at that.
Okay, seeing that there's no more questions, we're now ready to distribute the questionnaire to the faculty, and then we can schedule time to review the results.